How you doing again? This is Khalil Diab, Executive Director of the Boys and Girls Club. And as you can see, the club is located within a very old building. A lot of improvements need to be made. And starting from the first floor, the ceiling tiles in the first floor have had quite a bit of damage. Above the first floor, basketball court is located. And a lot of the dribbling and running up and down the court has created a lot of shaking movements, and the ceiling tiles have suffered tremendously. In the office portion, there's the main water valve that comes in to the building, and it's separated by another valve going into the pool. That would probably need to be replaced as soon as possible due to the leakage that we have right now. Moving on to the second floor, the bathrooms have seen a considerable amount of damage due to water leakage in the walls, and due to that, there's a lot of corrosion and erosion. If you look at the pool tables within the main floor of the second floor, the pool tables need to be refelted. The place takes a beating. When there's a lot of kids in the building, very quickly things start to fall apart, and without proper upkeep, these things start to occur. This is the result. So the pool tables need to be recovered, refelted. The kitchen tiles in the employee kitchen have cracked, and they're getting worse, progressively worse. If you look into the gym itself has been redone recently, thanks to a generous grant by Buffalo Wild Wings. However, the ceiling, there was no money in the budget at the time to correct the ceiling. The ceiling has ceiling tiles that were glued. A lot of those are falling down now, and it creates quite a bit of a mess. One of the things that we're trying to do is probably the best solution would be to drywall the ceiling, because right now the tiles are coming down. There's quite a bit of a damage, as you can see. Going into the third floor, as you go up the long stairwell, you start to see a lot of painting needs to be done. That's pretty much throughout the whole entire building. You're going to see painting that needs to be done. The carpet is what really is suffering. This was originally the place of worship when this was a synagogue, this building. And there was a sloped floor. That floor had been filled in and evened out and covered with plywood, and then the carpet that's thinning out, wearing out, as you can see. A solution that needs to be, accomplished very quickly, whether it's tile or another carpet. The bathrooms on the third floor, the girls' bathroom is not in a terrible shape, but the boys' bathroom needs quite a bit of an update. Some of the piping needs to be addressed. There's odors that come from the piping. The sink needs to be updated. It's very old, and probably a better solution for the stall. That way there's a door that would close and lock. As you look above to the window, that was all stained glass at one time when this was a synagogue. What has happened is it was replaced with another set of glass, and there was a pretty major crack that is very apparent, as you can see. We've covered both sides of the crack, so there's no direct risk. However, visually it does not look too appealing. The ceiling itself, there's quite a bit of damage from a leaking roof that we had about 4 or 5 years ago. The roof has been repaired, but the result, as you can see on the ceiling, there's quite a bit of damage and tearing of the painting that was up there, just spots, stains, things of that nature that probably needs to be addressed. Go to the swimming pool, which is probably the one area that probably needs the most work in some areas. It depends how you look at it. Painting is obviously an issue. We need to be painting in there. The locker rooms, we'll get to that in a little bit, but if you look at the bottom of the pool, there's quite a bit of cracking in the deep end, which seems to be a pretty big issue. We've painted over it before. We've tried to seal it. We've tried to paint over the sealant. However, due to just the rough nature of all the water being in there and the kids moving around, and just natural progression, erosion and things of that nature, we need to find a solution to seal those cracks. The deck itself, it's still the original deck about 50 years ago when the pool was built. There's some areas that it has sunk, and we've had to fill that in with cement to try to even it out. So we're still trying to work on making sure the entire deck is even. There is internal leakage within the pool. We keep the water filled during the off season. We're only open for 3 months out of the year for the pool, and when we get the chemicals running and do our necessary cleaning, it does look a lot better. Right now we're using it in the off season as a storage area for one of our maintenance workers who's nice enough to let us use that storage area to store his materials and tools and things like that in exchange for a very, very reduced rate and some of the light maintenance throughout the building. So it's a win-win for us in that, but during the off season it doesn't look like much, but it just goes to show you how much money we need when it comes to building repairs and how much we're able to save. If you go down to the locker room, you would see that the lockers themselves, at one point in time they were nice lockers, but it's just not feasible or sustainable anymore. A lot of the handles are missing, and a lot of that we could fix ourselves, but there's mechanism within these lockers that they're just outdated. So the best solution for us would be half lockers that would be hopefully purchased or donated and installed, giving us more space for the kids, more individual lockers for the kids, and just giving a better overall appearance. All right, we're going to start looking at the building from the outside, and we'll start with the north side of the building. Going left to right, some apparent deficiencies. If you look at the sign, there is a sign available with LED lighting at night. However, it needs to be updated with the current logo, adhering to graphic standards, which would be more of a visual appeal to any type of public walking by the building or driving by. There's a lack of visual appeal. This has been worked on by us internally with the staff at the Boys and Girls Club. We put a flag up there for the Boys and Girls Club as well as a U.S. flag, but ultimately there needs to be more done to identify this side of the building as you're traveling. This is the north side. Moving on to the west side of the building, as you can see, the ivy is a very important part of the building. It gives it a little bit of character. We want to, hopefully keep that in play. There's similar sign to the north side of the building, needs to be updated with current logo, adhering to graphic standards. The visual appeal is very limiting if you're driving down Clinton Street towards the high school. And we'd like to work on that, updating that a little bit so folks can see that this is a Boys and Girls Club, maybe a larger sign. Several options are available in order to have the appeal be warm. And ultimately, it's just difficult to identify. Moving on to the east side of the building, as you can see, the ivy is very nice. It gives it a warm appeal already. There's no sign at all on this side of the building, which is difficult for people to identify. So we'd like to add a sign somewhere centering the sign in the middle, maybe just a logo or with text, one or the other. The visual appeal has a lot of potential on this side of the building because of the large window. It was previously stained glass. Unfortunately, that window was cracked and needs to be replaced. That is a very important factor in beautifying this side of the building. But ultimately, really, with the goal of allowing people to identify that this is a Boys and Girls Club and it does not have a damaged sign like that. It could be also dangerous to people walking down the street at a certain point as it erodes further. We want to avoid glass falling down onto the street, things like that. On the south side of the building, as you're traveling, from Clinton Street going north, similar sign as previously noted, needs to be updated with the current logo in text, adhering to graphic standards. There's no visual appeal besides that sign if you were able to identify it. Most people find that if they already know it's a Boys and Girls Club, they would see the sign, they would notice it. But most people, for the naked eye, probably would not see that sign right away if they're traveling. So we'd like to get an updated sign and a little bit more visual appeal. The ivy is obviously very nice looking during the fall with the colors changing and things like that. But visual appeal is definitely necessary on this side of the building as well. It's very difficult to identify. And there's a little, looking from all sides of the building, the main goal, the priority would be to have people be able to identify that this is a Boys and Girls Club. It's visually appealing and warm and inviting, rather than most of the brick that you see it just seems to give it a more of a cold atmosphere. And might not even think that it's inhabited by anybody. We want to make sure people know that this is a place for youth and they're here and it's positive. There are a lot of things that we've tried to do on our own and within our budget to improve, make sure the building functions. That's the main priority. But as we go, time passes, you start to see all the results of the things that have occurred without proper maintenance. And, when it comes to maintenance, funding is the most important part of that aspect. So we're showing everybody this. We serve over 1,200 kids a year. The place does take a beating because the reason we show it is to show that there is a call to action right now to improve this building. This building enriches the lives of several young people throughout the year and throughout the past 60 years. And sustainability is our biggest emphasis right now, to make sure that we continue to serve kids for another 60 plus years within the area, within downtown Joliet, surrounding areas of Will County. So we appreciate the attention to the details that have been highlighted for you, and we hope that we can come together as a community to try to improve the building for sustainability and to continue to enrich the lives of young people in Will County and downtown Joliet. Thank you. We appreciate it.